Wrestling Podcast with your hosts from Shadow Valley and the Smoky Mountains. The one, the only, the Mountain Man, Spike Shadow.
And welcome to the Juice Wrestling Podcast with the Mountain Man, Spike Shadow, where every week we talk about the latest and greatest in sports entertainment, professional wrestling. I don't like that term, sports entertainment, but if it's wrestling, we're talking about it. Every week here at the Juice, we talk about who's got the juice, who doesn't got the juice, and who is the juice in professional wrestling, who's hot, who's not, and who's burning it down. And just like every Juice podcast, we're going to start off with some bit of news going on in the world of professional wrestling. This week, you're going to notice a difference in my podcast, and moving forward, things are going to be changing here at the Juice. I'm not just going to be talking about WWE anymore, because as of late, you've been watching, I've been watching, we know the story of WWE. Raw is mostly shit and got a few good parts. SmackDown is good, is decent most of the time. It's got some good shows, it's got some not so good shows, and it's staying consistent for the most part. NXT hits it out of the park most weeks. But moving forward, we're going to be adding New Japan. We're going to be talking about New Japan. We're going to be talking about Ring of Honor, PWG. If it's going on in the world of professional wrestling, we're talking about it. You already know. So today, on my Raw review, we're going to be talking about the G1 special, what happened this past weekend in San Francisco with New Japan Pro Wrestling, and we're going to be talking about Monday Night Raw. So we're going to be talking about some really good wrestling and some bad wrestling this week. And moving forward, that's how we're going to be doing things. I'm going to be covering it all. We are evolving here at the Juice. We're not just going to be talking about WWE anymore. The professional wrestling world is getting too big. Things are getting too exciting in other areas of professional wrestling, and we're going to be talking about it. So, before we get to that, let's get to a bit of news. Let's see what's going on in the world of professional wrestling. So, and our first bit of news, Breezango, or Fandango of Breezango, is injured right now. He's suffering a shoulder injury, his left labrum tear in his shoulder, and he will need surgery. The surgery is scheduled for this Tuesday. Fandango will be out of action for the next 6 months. So basically, we ain't going to see Breezango for a while. This past weekend, the WWE had their MSG tour going on, their MSG live event, in which, the funny thing is this past Saturday, we literally had 3 different exciting events going on. We had the G1 special, New Japan, in San Francisco. We had the Madison Square Garden, the MSG SummerSlam Heatwave tour going on. And we had a big UFC event going on in which Michael Cormier called out Brock Lesnar. So Michael Cormier calling out Brock Lesnar and him going into the octagon and pushing Cormier after his victory. The Undertaker returning at Madison Square Garden, and Kenny Omega versus Cody Rhodes and the rest of the G1 special. I'm going to be honest with you. Out of all 3 of these, I stayed glued to the G1 special. Now, out of all 3 of these events that were going on, and out of all 3 of these exciting moments, I'm staying glued to the G1 special. I mean, I don't know. Undertaker returned to Madison Square Garden. Yeah, I get it. It's kind of cool, you know. Whatever. Him teaming up with Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman, I'm like, really? And especially at one point, I've seen Instagram videos, he shook hands with Roman Reigns, and I'm like, really? So, WWE's initiative, or their pet project to get Roman over, continues to fail, in which I'm calling... turn that off. WWE keeps pushing Roman Reigns, which I can't understand why. If he's not over, if the fans don't like him, stop pushing it. I can't see how people keep trying to push this guy. So, and which I have dubbed Monday Night Raw is Roman's awful wrestling show. Now you're going to ask why? Why do you dub it that? Number one, because most of the show is really, really bad. And number two, especially if you watched Monday Night Raw last week and this week, they had like this opening, almost like movie trailer style Roman show. Like, it's, you open the show with this like movie trailer type video package displaying Roman. And so that's why I have dubbed it Roman's Awful Wrestling, because the show seems to be focused around Roman Reigns. And his awful portrayal of trying to be a wrestler. He's all right in the ring, except for his awful spear and his awful Superman punch. And I just feel like, give it up. Give up on this whole pushing Roman thing. But I'll get to that once I get to Raw. But I digress. This past weekend, Jim Ross was injured during the G1 special. So Jim Ross was injured at this week's G1 special. If you missed it, the event in which I am speaking of, Jim Ross was injured in a match when during the IWGP United States Championship match with Jay White and Juice Robinson. And according to the report, Jim Ross spoke to New Japan officials before the G1 special show to make sure nobody did any spots around the announce table, because he knew how much action could take place outside the ring. As per F4 Online reports, Jim Ross has been diagnosed with issues involving his ribs and lungs after the unscheduled spot. He must now cancel 3 commitments this week due to injury. Unfortunately, during the match, he had suffered an injury in the match in which Jay White sent Juice Robinson into the steel guardrail right in front of the commentary table. Now, I watched this spot, and the way Jay White played up this whole thing, I almost feel like it was done on purpose. Even though Jim Ross had made reports to NJPW beforehand. And the fact that this happened, and especially at the spot that this happened, Josh Barnett got up from the commentary table and chased Jay White into the ring. And Jay White played it off like, yeah, that's what you get and all this other shit. And I'm like, you could have smashed him into any other guardrail. Why the announce table guardrail? So, also this week, Ronda Rousey announced as the second pre-order bonus character for 2K19, which I got some qualms about this. The fact that Ronda Rousey has been in 2 matches, granted, her match against Nia Jax was great, but the fact that she's only been in 2 matches and now she's going to be a pre-order character for the 2K19, I'm like, really? I don't see it. I really feel like she needs some more time in the company in order to be in a video game. That's just my thoughts. Also this week, WWE is reshuffling their monthly pay-per-views. According to WrestleVote's Twitter account, WWE is reshuffling their monthly pay-per-views. The TLC pay-per-view, which was originally scheduled to take place on October 21st, but now it has been replaced by the WWE Super Show, which will take place in Australia. Also, they dropped Payback, which, I don't really think we're missing much, which was scheduled for May 27th, 2018, as well as Battleground, which was set to take place on July 15th. Battleground has been replaced by Extreme Rules, which has been moved to September 16th from July 15th. WWE's Hell in a Cell pay-per-view has been moved from September 30th up to September 16th. So we'll have Extreme Rules in July, SummerSlam in August, and then Hell in a Cell in September. So, also this week, before we get to Monday Night Raw, or Monday's Romans Awful Wrestling program, why WWE did not mention Brock Lesnar on Raw. As you may have noticed, WWE did not mention Brock Lesnar in the segments on last Monday's Monday Night Raw. According to the rumors, WWE has instructed their superstars not to mention Brock Lesnar. Roman Reigns mentioned Universal Champion, but did not mention the name Brock Lesnar. According to Dave Meltzer of Wrestling Observer Radio, Meltzer speculated that something's up and WWE's relationship with Lesnar might have changed since last week when he appeared on UFC 226. Yeah. I don't know what they're doing with Brock Lesnar. There's been different articles that I've read that this is a whole shoot. This is part of the story, that they want to play this whole Brock Lesnar doesn't give a damn about the WWE or the WWE fans. And like that's the angle they're going for. How you're not going to have him on your SummerSlam pay-per-view seems ludicrous. How at one of the big 4 pay-per-views of your entire year, how do you not have the Universal Champion show up? Who knows? Find out next time on What the Fuck is Up with WWE. So, let's get to Monday Night Slaw. Monday Night Slaw. Monday Night Raw. Oh, man. Okay, I'm going to talk about Monday Night Raw first, go over the results, go over what happened this week, and then we'll get to the G1 special, which was the good wrestling program this week. We start out with an god-awful Roman Reigns and Bobby Lashley promo, in which Bobby Lashley tells Roman to call him out. Never in my years of watching wrestling have I ever seen someone tell someone else, call me out. The problem with this whole Roman Bobby Lashley thing is no one cares. No one cares about Bobby Lashley. No one cares about Roman Reigns. Bobby Lashley looks good in the ring, but other than that, he can't cut a promo to save his life. And, I feel like Bobby Lashley's mic skills are lacking. And therefore is the reason why we can't get behind this guy. Why we can't get behind Bobby Lashley. Let me know your thoughts on my Facebook page, The Mountain Man Spike Von Shadow, at facebook.com. Or let me know in the comment section below. Whatever. Point being, in this opening segment here, we get Let's Go Celtics. Now, to many of you out there, maybe you're slow. Maybe the brain isn't ticking so fast. Maybe, who knows? But I think everybody, I think we can say this as a whole, whether you're slow or whether you're quick, or maybe you've just picked up the remote and you just put on Monday Night Raw. I think even the blind can see this. I think even the deaf can hear this. When you have two wrestlers that are feuding and the crowd is saying, let's go Celtics, I think that's a good indication that no one wants to see this. So Roman Reigns takes 20 years to get to the ring. This is something else I've talked about on here at The Juice, is the fact that why is it that Roman takes 20 years to get to the ring? No excitement, no walking to the ring determined like Stone Cold used to do, or The Rock, or anybody who was a good wrestler or even a halfway decent wrestler. Just walking to the ring ever so slowly. And to the point where I feel like paint drying would have been more enjoyable to watch than watching Roman walk to the ring. That takes ultimately like 20 years. I digress. So it takes 20 years to get to the fucking ring. And I'm thinking to myself, like, I get it. Trying to build up momentum, or you're trying to create a presence. No, you need to take some notes from Seth Rollins, okay? Because it's obvious that you don't take 20 years to get to the ring, but whatever. So then he calls out Bobby Lashley. Once again, the sad dribble of Roman versus Bobby, in which no one gives a shit about. They're not fighting for a title. They're not fighting for a number one contender spot. They're just, who is the guy? That's what we're fighting for here. When the guy is already obvious, it's Seth Rollins. Whatever. In which we get into a semi-brawl. We get into a fight here in the ring, in which Kurt Angle comes out saying, Not going to happen tonight. And we have this god-awful pull-apart brawl. Okay, two wrestlers, they're fighting, and they got to be pulled apart. And at one point, Roman Reigns jumps off the ropes and then does this fly into 20 different superstars, which is completely unbelievable. We're talking like 20 superstars here, or more, around Bobby Lashley. And you mean to tell me, with all these damn big-ass superstars you got, you cannot keep Bobby Lashley and Roman Reigns from each other? It's not believable. It's not. I'm done. So that's how we start Monday Night Raw this week. Roman's awful wrestling show. Because remember, we call it Roman's awful wrestling show because Roman Reigns not only has a weekly promo now the last few weeks, giving sympathy towards the god-awful wrestler that is Roman Reigns, but he takes priority over the WWE Championship. Remember that. The worst wrestler on the WWE roster takes priority over the WWE Championship. Remember that. That's why it's called Roman's Awful Wrestling, because the show is centered and based around Roman Reigns. Enough about that. You know my thoughts. You know how irritated and pissed off this makes me. Let's get on to something better. Oh, that's right. We've got Alexa Bliss and Mickie James against Natalya and Nia Jax. Okay? Nia Jax, Natalya, they win this match, as we all kind of knew it was going to. The only salvageable part of this whole segment was the fact that we got to see Alexa Bliss beat the hell out of Nia Jax with a kendo stick, and then Nia Jax grab the kendo stick and break it into toothpicks. That was the only redeemable part of that segment. So we move on from there to Kevin Owens and Kurt Angle in this god-awful segment about Kevin Owens talking about how he's not medically cleared and that he could file for unsafe work conditions. I'm like, yeah, I get it. If we were in any other industry other than, I don't know, professional wrestling, yeah, you might be able to file for unsafe working conditions. This is professional wrestling. Once again, making Kevin Owens look like a big-ass pussy against Braun Strowman, in which is announced for Extreme Rules. One of the few actual Extreme Rules matches. We get Kevin Owens against Braun Strowman in a steel cage match, which I don't know where this thing is going. I don't know what you're looking to get out of this whole thing. I don't know what you're looking to obtain, what you're looking to achieve, what could possibly putting Braun Strowman in a steel cage match with Kevin Owens satisfy. I digress. So, along with this awful segment, Kevin Owens goes on to say that I'm going to stay in your office, Kurt Angle. In which, moving forward, we're going to get this match at Extreme Rules, which I guess on the positive, I'm just saying, maybe do it a little different. I don't know. Maybe I don't know what they're doing with Braun Strowman and Kevin Owens. I really don't. I don't see how this is going to be entertaining. I don't see, the only thing I can think of is keeping Braun Strowman occupied until Brock Lesnar shows up, which I feel like the whole Brock Lesnar thing, I feel like it's putting a kink in the rest of the plans of Monday Night Raw. Let me know your thoughts, but that's what I think. I think it's just putting a kink, and it's not really doing anything to progress their match. So then we move on to that, to Mojo Rawley versus No Way Jose, which once again was god awful. I feel like you've had all these last few weeks of this build up to this match, and I don't get where they're going with this. I don't get the I don't get it. I don't know. But basically, Mojo Rawley wins. And he wins with an Alabama slam for the pinfall, which I keep thinking to myself, like, why are they giving such a push to Mojo Rawley? Like, I don't see it. Oh, whatever. We move on from there. Oh boy. And so after Mojo Rawley gets the win against No Way Jose, we move on to Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt, pretty much telling the B team that they're done with all their tomfoolery, they're done with all their parody shit, and we get a one-on-one match with Matt Hardy against Bo Dallas, in which Bo Dallas gets the upset. So you know what this, and stay tuned. After I get done with the Raw results this week, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you my thoughts for the Extreme Rules pay-per-view that's coming up this Sunday. The B team are gonna lose at Extreme Rules. I'll tell you why. There is a basic formula for seeing who is gonna win at a pay-per-view, and basically it usually goes with the last type of match that you've seen certain competitors in, or the feuding competitors. Usually the person that gets the pinfall, for example, in this case, Bo getting the pin on Matt, and especially the week before, Curtis getting the pin on Matt. They want you to make it seem like going into the pay-per-view that the B team are going to win, when I see it, when it actually turns out to be the opposite way most times. Now, granted, there are some exceptions to the rule, but basically, the story they're trying to tell is that the B team is going to win going in, and then they give you the psych, and then the Deleter Worlds walks out with the championship. So that's how I see it going down. And especially at the end of the match, the Deleter Worlds beat up on the B team, and they end up leaving and sending a message. So my prediction is the B team is going to lose at Extreme Rules. Granted, this is another match, and I'm going to say this throughout the entire podcast. This is another match that's not extreme at all. We have 3 Extreme Rules matches at an Extreme Rules pay-per-view, and one of them is on the kickoff show. I'll get to that once I get to my SmackDown review, but moving forward. Ember Moon against Liv Morgan again. Not really much needs to be said about this. Ember Moon is on fire, literally and figuratively. I believe her, Natalya, and Ruby Riott should be chasing after the Raw Women's Championship, or at least number 1 contenders spot coming out of Extreme Rules. But we don't get that. We get these matchups where Ember fights Liv Morgan, or what I anticipated it was going to be Sarah Logan this week. Do the flip-flop like they usually do. But once again, Ember Moon wins as always because she's phenomenal. And if Liv Morgan won this, I don't know what to say about your shit program. I'm just saying. Then we move on to Constable Corbin and Elias beating Finn Balor and Bobby Roode, which they're trying to, this rivalry between Finn Balor and Constable Corbin, yawn. Once again, we're getting a singles match. Once again, we're getting something on a pay-per-view that really shouldn't be on a pay-per-view. This is, at best, a mid-card match on Monday Night Raw. And once again, no extreme rule or stipulation to this match. When you're going into a pay-per... Okay, I am no creative writer for WWE. I am no booker. And what I mean by booker, I'm not some match wizard, match booking when it comes to pay-per-views and Raws, but even I know that going into a pay-per-view, you try to tailor your storylines leading up from the last pay-per-view, Money in the Bank, leading up to this new pay-per-view. You try to have your storylines or something that has to do with the pay-per-view. And so, leading into Extreme Rules, you would think you would lead into an Extreme Rules pay-per-view with Extreme Rules matches. Or at least some damn good matches that have some kind of Extreme Rules stipulation. Granted, a lot of these matches, there's no title being put on the line. There's nothing for us to give a damn about. The Extreme Rules pay-per-view is supposed to be about Extreme Rules. A kendo on a stick match, or a kendo on a pole match, or even a lumberjack match would be a little better than just a regular one-on-one match. A Chicago street fight, okay? We got a steel cage match. And everybody who listens to my podcast, you know how much I love steel cage matches, okay? You got one match, okay? There are so many different types of matches you could do. But they don't do that. And it boggles my mind as to why you're going to leave your pay-per-view short when it's supposed to be an Extreme Rules, whatever. So we get to Kevin Owens. We already talked about the Braun Strowman thing, the steel cage match. we get in the main event, there was a segment in which Seth Rollins comes to the ring and was talking about Dolph Ziggler and him challenging him for the Intercontinental title at Extreme Rules, and Dolph and Drew come out, and Seth Rollins makes some comments about how Drew McIntyre is just nothing but a lackey to Dolph, and he fucks sheep, and all this other shit, and I'm like, really? But we get 2 solid hours of complete shit on Monday Night Raw, but we get a good main event once again. This tends to be a familiar thing lately with Monday Night Raw. We get 2 hours of shit, and then the last match, coincidentally enough, being Seth Rollins and the Intercontinental title race. This week we got Drew McIntyre against Seth Rollins, which I've been itching to see Drew McIntyre in a singles match other than him teaming with Dolph Ziggler. And it was a pretty damn good match. And Dolph interferes. And the stipulation was if Seth wins, then Drew will be banned from ringside at the 30-minute Iron Man match at Extreme Rules. Which, that's another one that it's not really an Extreme Rules, but alright, whatever. Ziggler provides the distraction, and McIntyre hits Rollins with the Claymore and gets him for the 1, 2, 3. Damn good match. Whenever I do this here podcast, for the most part, you didn't miss much this week except the main event. So, if you're watching Monday Night Raw, you can skip the first 2 hours and just go right to the last match of the night. It's the only thing worth watching. I gave this match 3 glasses of juice. Okay, it was a damn good match. And for the most part, the ending I was cool with. But the rest of the show, the rest of Monday Night Raw was just anticlimactic and just very dismal going into Extreme Rules. And I'll get into more of my predictions. I'll give you the full card layout going into Extreme Rules when I do my SmackDown review. But it's not looking too good going into Extreme Rules. Now, that being said, let's get to the G1 special. Okay? I would rather have watched the G1 special. I think I would rather have watched that multiple times than watch one episode of Raw. I'm just going to say it. And especially moving forward here at the Juice, I'm going to be covering more New Japan stuff. Just because it was so good. And just because, all the matches there. I'm going to go down the list. I'm going to go down the results. Talk a little bit about some of my favorite moments and my favorite matches. But basically, for the most part, phenomenal pay-per-view. And I especially love the way it ended, too. So it was just a great pay-per-view. And in my opinion, it's something that really WWE needs to take notes on. Now, maybe some of you out there don't watch New Japan Pro Wrestling. You need to be watching it, number one. Number two, it's good wrestling. A lot of the time on WWE, we don't get good matches. The storylines are very lackluster, and for the most part, it could be so much better. So, we're going to get down to all the results here in a second. Going into this thing, I was excited for the Kenny Omega IWGP Heavyweight Championship match against Codyrhodes. I was pretty excited for that. I thought that was going to be really good. The Young Bucks defending their titles against Sonata and Evil. So, alrighty. So the first match that went on this week at the old G1 special, which I think you'll see a lot more, especially to advertise it. This was at the Cow Palace this past Saturday. One of the best pay-per-views I've seen all year. My opinion, I would have rather watched this than 90% of WWE's pay-per-views. And it's the quality of matches. It's the quality that you get. If you want to watch sports entertainment, watch WWE. But if you want to watch real professional wrestling, you'll watch New Japan. So in the first match, we had the Bullet Club with Chase Owens, Haku, Tamatanga, Tangaloa, and Yujiro Takahashi versus Chaos of Guido, Rocky Romero, Sho, Yo, and Yoshihashi. Bullet Club just destroyed them. I haven't seen Haku. Many of you know who Haku is. He's been a world-class athlete, world-class wrestler, and it's good to see him in New Japan, and especially it's good to see him in the Bullet Club. And the Bullet Club won by pinfall with a gun stun from Tamatanga and Guido. Great match. I'm not typically a big fan of like 10-man tags, but this shit was lit. I thought it was a really good match. And I thought the Bullet Club looked really good together as a tag team. So then we get to the second match, which was Chaos, Tomohiro Ishii and Toru Yano versus Suzuki Gun, Minoru Suzuki, and Zack Sabre Jr. The highlight of this match, it was a good match. The ending was my favorite, though. At one point, they took off in New Japan. If you don't watch New Japan Pro Wrestling, unlike the WWE, in the middle or in the corners of the ring, they have like these foam pads that are up against the turnbuckles. Instead of having 3 individual turnbuckles, they have like one panel that's like foam, and they ended up taking the foam padding off and hitting, I think it was Tomohiro, and hit him and got the pinfall, which I thought the ending of the match was hilarious. Yeah, it was Toru, yeah. He removed the turnbuckle pad, and he ended up hitting Suzuki, and or Suzuki ends up beating him with it. He takes it back, and Chaos won by pinfall with a cradle from Toru Yano and Zack Sabre Jr. Match, like I said, it was decent for the most part, but the ending I thought was really cool. Then next we get to the Bullet Club, Hangman Page and Marty Scurll versus Hiroshi Tanahashi and Kushida. This was one of my favorite matches of the night. Really, like, I was surprised by how good Kushida did. He's very athletic, very... it reminds me a lot of Rey Mysterio in his in-ring ability and his ability to jump around and do high-flying acrobatic stuff. Thought it was a really good match. And so the Bullet Club ends up winning by pinfall with the rite of passage from Hangman Page on Kushida, which I knew they weren't gonna pin Tanahashi. Like, I just knew Kushida was gonna be the one to get the pin. Tanahashi's too big of a superstar in Japan. I mean, Kushida, he's a bigger type superstar too, but I felt like the way the match was going, I'm like, yeah, he's going to get the pin. He's going to get pinned. Because they want to make the Bullet Club look good, and they want to make especially Marty Scurll and Hangman Page look real good. Then we get to Hiroki Goto versus Jeff Cobb in the Never Open Weight Championship. This one was all right. Goto looked phenomenal. I think it was a first good push for Jeff Cobb. Goto won by pinfall with the GTR, and he retains the Never Open Weight Championship. Like that match, other than Goto looking amazing, Jeff Cobb looked good in the beginning of the match, but he was very, very sluggish by the end. And him being a bigger guy, I get it. But the match as a whole was decent. I give it 2 glasses of juice. Then we get to Los Ingobernables de Japan with Evil and Sonata in their rematch against the Young Bucks for the IWGP Tag Team Championships. If you aren't watching the Young Bucks, if you aren't following the Young Bucks, let's say you watch WWE and you want to know what tag team wrestling is like. Or let's say you're baffled with the level of tag team wrestling on WWE and you want to know what tag team wrestling is supposed to look like. Go check out the Young Bucks. I watched this past weekend before the match. I watched when the Young Bucks went up against Evil and Sonata at Dominion, and they won the IWGP Tag Team Championships from them. And it was a really good match, but I preferred this one a bit better. The combinations of Nick and Matt Jackson, when I say they define tag team wrestling, the way one complements the other and their level of flips and their agility and their high flyingness and the way they complement each other in the ring was really incredible. And especially at one point in the match, they went to super kick. I think it was Evil, and he ducked, and they super kicked the referee. They threw Nick out of the ring, and they went to go for the signature move that the Young Bucks do, where I think it's called the Meltzer. What is it? The Meltzer. Damn it, I can't remember the name of it. But where the guy in the ring puts the opponent in a tombstone pile driver, and then the other guy jumps off the rope and does a flip, and they smash him down into the mat. And Los Ingobernables did that to Nick Jackson. Matt Jackson was on the outside, and they did it on top of a steel chair, which was incredible. And Evil was over there trying to get the referee to count, and we ended up getting a near fall out of that. And the ending of the match, yeah, oh man. The ending of the match was so good. We get the Young Bucks winning by pinfall. Yeah, it's the Meltzer driver. Yeah, on Evil. Just their combinations of moves are just amazing. And they get the pinfall and they retain the tag titles. So incredible match. The next match we had Kazuchika Okada and Will Ospreay against Bushi and Tetsuya Naito. I didn't watch all of this. I watched most of it. I did watch the ending. And Chaos won by pinfall with the Stormbreaker from Will Ospreay on Bushi. And I kind of had a feeling going into this one that Kazuchika Okada and Will Ospreay were going to win this. Especially Will Ospreay's been looking great lately. Then we get to Dragon Lee versus Hiromu Takahashi for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship. I didn't really watch this one. I've had so much wrestling to watch this week. Takahashi wins by pinfall with the time bomb, retaining the junior weight championship. I did watch this one, though. I did watch Jay White versus Juice Robinson for the IWGP United States Championship. That was the one I was talking about earlier, in which Josh Barnett got up from ringside, got up from the announce table, and went in the ring to take on Jay White, and he slithered away. Juice at the end of this was favoring his, I think it was his right hand, and the referee was down when he hit him, because you can't hit with an open fist, and Jay White got him with a he got him with a low blow, and then a few minutes later, Juice got him with the open hand strike, and then he hit him with a reverse Blade Runner, and then put it into a folding press to win the IWGP United States Heavyweight Championship. So it's Juice's first not only championship win, but his first United States IWGP United States Championship. I watched that match. Was really impressed with both. And the ending of the match was really good. Then we get to Cody Rhodes versus Kenny Omega. By far the best match of the night. By far another one of those matches that was better than anything you'll see on WWE. The story of this match was Cody and Kenny fighting for leadership of the Bullet Club, and also fighting for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. Also, the story of this was Cody's wife being at ringside and the Young Bucks being at ringside for Kenny Omega. And the thing I loved about this match was a lot of old school moves. A lot of old school moves. The collar and elbow tie-ups, the waist locks, the arm bars, the wrist locks, the pacing of this. At one point in the match, Kenny Omega did like a flying drop kick to Cody through a table. A lot of this match was inside, outside the ring, and I loved all the outside the ring moments. Quite a few times, Kenny Omega went to get the table and he was trying to put Cody through the table. The Young Bucks would intervene. There was one point in the match when Kenny would do his patented off the ropes, do a run, and then go off the ropes, and then do like a flying, like almost shooting star press, or like a flying moonsault. Cody put his wife in the way, and so Kenny had to stop. And I think my favorite part in this whole match, which really had me in awe and was really exciting, was they broke out a ladder at one point in the match. And Kenny and Cody were at the top of this ladder. And at one point, you almost thought that Kenny was going to suplex Cody onto the outside from inside the ring on top of this ladder. This ladder must have been at least, 15, 20 feet in the air? And you think that they were going to suplex him onto that table, and I'm thinking to myself, like, oh my God, if you do this shit, you're going to fucking kill him. And, like, that's what wrestling is about, like, these moments where you're like, I can't believe this is going to happen, like, the overwhelming excitement of what could happen, what's going to happen at this moment, and which Cody suplexes him inside the ring from the very top of the ladder. I love suplex shots from on top of a ladder onto an announce table or in a ring or outside the ring or whatever. I love shit like that. And so, once again, that was another one of those spots in the match that I absolutely fucking loved. I can't say enough how much I absolutely loved this match. And Kenny with his patented V-trigger off the ropes, setting him up for the one-winged angel to retain the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. Oh, by the way, shortly after Cody suplexes Kenny off the fucking ladder, bro, off this ladder, the Young Bucks intervene and they actually get the ladder outside the ring. And I felt like the role that both Brandy Rhodes, Cody's wife, and the Young Bucks played in this match, I feel like it enhanced the match. And I like seeing shit like that. Like, quite a few times, the Young Bucks would try to sway Kenny from doing a certain move to Cody. Oh, you're going to put him to the hospital, you're going to end his career. Or like when Cody went outside the ring to grab the IWGP Heavyweight Championship and bring it in the ring and hit Kenny with it. Like, just these different spots when I feel like there was so much going on, and I feel like there was so much to the match, and I feel like it enhanced it, and I really feel like it told a story. And so even if you hadn't been watching New Japan, even if you hadn't been following what was going on, it still told a story, and I like that. So, if I haven't said it yet, I will say it again. If you get a chance, go and check out the G1 special, New Japan Pro Wrestling. If you want to watch real professional wrestling and not sports entertainment, like I am, like I do, and like I know a lot of you out there are, you are die-hard wrestling fans. You're not about this passe, PC, politically correct sports entertainment show. Go check out New Japan. And especially, next week starts the G1 Climax. This big epic tournament in New Japan, and I'm going to be covering every bit of it. And especially moving forward here at the Juice, stay tuned, because I'm going to be covering more and more New Japan. I'm still going to cover WWE, because I will always love WWE, even though I hate it sometimes. I will still cover it. But I'm going to be bringing you other wrestling promotions. I'm going to be bringing you New Japan. Look forward to me bringing you Ring of Honor stuff. I'm going to be talking about it all here at the Juice. So thanks for joining me today. I'm the Mountain Man, Spike Von Shadow, and remember, keep the juice flowing, baby. I'll see you next time.